Man, I'll tell you what. It's almost like the Democrats have absolutely no power whatsoever. Oh, wait a minute. It is exactly like the Democrats have no power whatsoever. Donald Trump, it's just amazing. Everything he does, everything he says he wants to do, it just happens. It's an amazing experience. That's what happens when you win elections. That's what happens when you win the presidency, when you win the Senate, when you win the House of Representatives, when you have the Supreme Court firmly in your grasp. That's what happens when the American people are behind you. That's what happens when you have a mandate from the American public, the popular vote, the electoral vote. That's what happens when all of these great things come together. And that's exactly what's happening today, because I don't know if you heard this. This is great news. This is great news, but RFK Jr., Donald Trump's pick for the Health and Human Services Secretary, was confirmed in the Senate 52 to 40. It was the same as Tulsi Gabbard. John Fetterman voted no, and Mitch McConnell, a.k.a. Mr. Glass, in his wheelchair also voted no. Mitch McConnell, basically, he's gone full Democrat. He's gotten and you never go full Democrat. That's exactly what's happening. He voted no on Tulsi Gabbard. He voted no on RFK Jr. I'm pretty gosh darn sure he's going to vote no on Kash Patel. He'll probably vote no on Linda McMahon and whoever else is left. It's like Mitch McConnell right now is staring into the abyss of the end of his life. He's not just the end of his career. Sure, I mean, the end of the career. I think that, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what's going to come first for this guy, but he's elderly. He's got some kind of problems. He keeps freezing up. He falls down the stairs. He's got a broken leg. He's got a horrible voting record. He's already said he's going to retire. He's not going to run again. He's already not the Senate Majority Leader because he couldn't hack that. He handed it off to John Thune. And now he's voting like a Democrat. It's really, really weird. Also, John Fetterman, forget that guy. Forget Fetterman, that guy. John Fetterman, he was, for just a hot second, I thought to myself, oh, maybe John Fetterman's coming to his senses. The Democrat establishment clearly got to John Fetterman. They got to him. They're controlling him still. They maybe, I don't know if they told him, you better vote no, or you're going to have to wear suits. Maybe that's what, who knows what's going on with those people. But they got to John Fetterman because John Fetterman was a big fat no on RFK Jr. as well. And we thought, and I'll be honest with you, I thought he was going to vote for him. They went out, they had a little meeting. They were, they shook hands in the hallway. He's a Democrat. Kennedy was a Democrat for a long time. I thought John Fetterman was fangirling over him. But it doesn't matter because Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins and all the other people, Joni Ernst, all the other people who were maybe wishy-washy, they all decided we are going to vote. We are going to vote to confirm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the new Health and Human Services Secretary in the Donald Trump administration. So that is very, very exciting news. Real quick, before we get into the nitty gritty, because, I have other breaking news, it's the kind of breaking news that you just slam your head. The facepalm emoji? I'm wearing a blue, I'm really the facepalm emoji most of my life now whenever I go on X. Whenever I go on X in the morning and I start reading these things, I go, I'm going to have a huge brute, like a black eye, because I just keep face palming myself every time I read these things, but you're not going to believe. Should I tell you? All right, I'll tell you real quick. Guess who the front runner is to replace Gavin Newsom as governor of California when his term expires? If you answered Kamala Harris, give yourself a face palm, because that is correct. Kamala Harris, in a new poll, apparently, Eric Daughtry reporting Kamala Harris is the leading Democratic candidate for California governor in 2026, garnering 57% support. Now, keep in mind that she's the leading Democrat candidate, but California, with everything else that's been going on there, man, with everything else that's been going on in California, it could be that California turns red. In fact, California could turn red. New York could turn red. Other blue states look, we already knocked out Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. That's all we really needed. But New Jersey could turn red because Governor Murphy's one of the worst people in the entire world. I'm still waiting for New Hampshire to go red, which I feel like it probably should have. But anyway, that's the latest out of California. On the Democrat side of the aisle, Kamala Harris, who is one of the least popular presidential candidates ever. Kamala Harris, who didn't even get more votes than Joe Biden in California, didn't get more votes than Joe Biden really in any county across the country. Everywhere they voted, Joe Biden got more votes than Kamala Harris did. In 2020, Joe Biden got this many votes. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm holding my hands like 6 inches apart, and Kamala Harris got this many. Now I'm holding them 3 inches apart. I'm kind of showing you like, boom, how it fell. She's not popular yet in California. she's the most popular person to replace Gavin Newsom. Thank God I don't live in California. Thank God I live in a sensible place like Florida. And that's where we are right now, broadcasting live from Patriot HQ, right in the heart of Mar-a-Lago in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. We're very excited to bring you Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Listen, do me a solid. Do yourself a solid. Really, it's more of a favor for you than it is for me. Okay, it's a favor for both of us. But do yourself a solid and make sure that you subscribe to this podcast. Because if you subscribe to this podcast, then you're going to get this information the minute that it comes out. You're going to get the information that you crave. You're going to get everything that we're talking with. There's videos, there's podcasts constantly. We're always doing stuff. It's like I just sit in front of this camera creating crap every single day. And I want to make sure you get it as soon as you want it, especially if you're listening to a podcast platform. Also, don't forget, our review drive continues. And if you would like to win some Mark Kaye swag, if you want to get a Mark Kaye Show prize pack, we're going to be giving stuff away. This is by order and directive of my wife. She said, start reading reviews on the air and make sure that every couple of weeks you give away some stuff to people to write reviews. And it's working. Look, I want to show you this. We jumped yesterday. I think I showed you the charts. We were in 200. We were like listed somewhere in the 200s. Look at this. Now we're 137. We did that. You and I together. 130. We jumped like 70 spots. If everybody listening right now, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Rumble, maybe you're on TikTok. We're going live on TikTok today. Wherever you happen to be, if you're listening to this podcast, head on over to iTunes later today and leave us a review, because I think if we get 20 more reviews, we could be back in the top 100 where we belong. We may even be back in the top 50, which would be exciting because everyone wants, we're shooting for number one. Right now, number one is How to Win 2024, which I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like a podcast called How to Win 2024 should not be number one anymore. First of all, it's produced by MSNBC, and I thought they were going bankrupt. Second of all, it's 2025. So we got to knock those puppies off there. Candace Owens is number two. That makes a lot of sense. She's very popular. She's a very popular person in the podcast. Anyway, but you know what? Here's something I realized too. I realized something like the other day, because I was reading this report and I realized that bald men like me are better podcasters. Bald men are better podcasters than men with hair. Sean Hannity, sure, he's a lovely guy and all that kind of stuff, but I'm a better podcaster. My podcast is better. Brian Kilmeade, he's got way too much hair to be a good podcaster, and I'll tell you why. Bald men don't spend any time during the day on hair care. Men with hair spend an average of 5 to 7 minutes. No, I'm sorry. Men with hair spend an average of 5 to 10 minutes every single day doing their hair, styling their hair, putting crap in their hair, making sure their hair looks good. Bald men don't do that. So we save 5 to 10 minutes. Let's just call it 7 minutes a day. So I save on average 7 minutes a day because I don't have hair. And that 7 minutes I put into this podcast. And 7 minutes a day is 35 minutes a week times 52 weeks. Well, we'll take off 2 weeks because, Christmas and July 4th, we go to the beach, and it doesn't matter. But say 50 weeks a year, that's 29 hours. That's 29 hours a year that I don't spend doing my hair, when Sean Hannity and Brian Kilmeade and all those other hairy guys are wasting. They could be working on their podcast. They're not. They're working on their coiffs. So that's more than a day. Bald guys get a full day's more. Okay, let me make sure I'm saying this right. Bald podcasters have an extra day every year to spend making their podcast better. And that's why my podcast is better than Sean Hannity, Brian Kilmeade, all those other hairy guys. Maybe not Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino. Okay, Dan Bongino and I, we're right there. We're parallel. We're both, Dan Bongino and I both have the exact amount of time every year to work on our podcasts. But Clay and Buck, forget about it. You're not getting you're getting 29 more hours of influence and research and input and content because I'm bald. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. Anyway, so that's why we want you to make sure that you leave a review for your favorite bald podcaster, because, like I said, I do everything in my power to make sure that I'm bringing you all the best information every single day of my life. All right, let's get back to RFK Jr. So RFK Jr., this happened today, and it was a really weird vote. It was one of those votes where not everybody was in there, so they just kept coming in over like the course of an hour, and it was really painful to watch. But yesterday, Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut was on MSNBC, and or maybe that was this morning. I don't know, it may have been this morning. Senator Blumenthal was on with, he was on with Mika Brzezinski on Morning Joe. And Senator Blumenthal, he was petrified with fear. He was so mad about the Tulsi Gabbard thing yesterday, and he was petrified, so concerned about RFK Jr. and Kash Patel. Listen to what he told Morning Joe this morning.
I think I'm most concerned about Tulsi Gabbard, but it's really a pretty close second in Robert Kennedy Jr. They both failed to recognize the facts, and Robert Kennedy Jr. poses a real threat to our public health, Tulsi Gabbard to our national security. We're voting today on a nominee for FBI Director, Kash Patel, who wants to turn the FBI apparently into a sycophantic goon squad.
By the way, sycophantic goon squad. That's a great band name, isn't it? Sycophantic goon squad. I love that. I love that name. Also, is it not weird to anybody else that Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut is concerned about RFK Jr.'s effect on our health system, but he's not concerned about the amount of Botox he pumps into his face every 3 weeks? I mean, this guy's skin is tighter than, I don't even know what. But I digress. Here we go.
And the independent, impartial, objective law enforcement agency, it ought to be as a enemies list, which he calls government gangsters, and he's on a manhunt for them. And so we're all at risk as a result of this kind of skewed, distorted approach to law enforcement. And the recent revelations shunned by my Republican colleagues show that he is covertly and personally directing, or involved in directing, the mass purge of FBI leadership and professional civil servants. He testified in response to my questions that there would never be retribution, that there would never be these kinds of political firings. And what is happening now, according to these whistleblowers, they're not secondhand hearsay, as Senator Grassley has said. They are credible whistleblowers who are coming to us with what they have heard.
Okay, I'd like to point out what he's saying here. He's this guy's old too. He doesn't look it because of all the botulism in his face, but he is not a young man. He's been around forever, way too long, as a matter of fact. And Senator Blumenthal, what he's saying is, I want to follow along because only a Democrat could think this way. Senator Blumenthal is saying that Kash Patel lied under oath. Why did he lie under oath? Because he testified that when he became FBI director, he would not use his power as retribution. He would not purge the department of any agents or department heads or anybody in the FBI who went after Donald Trump and his allies. And now the FBI has been firing people that they claim are retribution fires because they went after Donald Trump and his allies. And they're blaming Kash Patel, who doesn't even work for the FBI because he hasn't been confirmed. So they're saying we know we cannot confirm him now because he committed perjury by lying under oath about doing something once he got a job, but yet he doesn't yet have the job. It's really, when we hire you, will you fire people? No, I promise not to. Okay, people get fired before he gets hired, and now they're coming back and yelling at him. This is how the Democrats think, and this is why they keep. This is why it's so dangerous. This is why he keeps losing. MSNBC, they were really, again, this was before the vote, but they were really all up in arms about RFK Jr. They think this guy is the devil.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will face a full Senate vote to become the nation's health secretary. This, of course, comes after the Senate voted along party lines to advance his nomination and now sets the stage for a final confirmation vote this morning. Last night, a group of Democrats pulled an all-nighter on the Senate floor protesting Kennedy's nomination. The lawmakers delivered speeches highlighting his debunked claims on vaccines, his views on abortion, and threats they say he poses to health care programs such as Medicaid. Despite some Republican skepticism about his stance on vaccines, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is set to win confirmation absent any last-minute surprise changes. And most of the Republicans who might have broken with the party over Kennedy have since pledged to support him, Mika.
Look at that. So you can hear Mika saying in the background, he'll be confirmed. He was confirmed. He was confirmed 52-48. Mitch McConnell being the lone Republican holding out. And I say that, I've said this before, I say it again. If you're a Republican and you vote with the Democrats, you are not a Republican. If you're a Republican and you're like, all right, Donald Trump, the Republican president, wants this guy. Everybody else in the Republican Party has voted for this guy. I'm a Republican. I'm not going to vote for this guy. I'm going to vote with the Democrats. Then you're not a Republican. That's not how it works. That's not how these things, in my humble opinion, that's not how these things go. But it's my show, so my humble opinion is really, it's really less my humble opinion and just, the word. It's just law here on Mark Kaye. Saves the Republic, but they're petrified. They're scared. They're losing over and over again. They're losing every single day. Every single day they're losing. They're losing Robert F. Kennedy's vote. They're losing Tulsi Gabbard's vote. They're losing Kash Patel's vote. Oh, by the way, I forgot to talk about this yesterday. I talked about it in the after party. So the Patriot Club, if you're a member of the Patriot Club, you know all about this because we talked about it in the after party. But I wanted to bring this up again because this just entertains me so much. This is how scared the Democrats in Washington, D.C. are of Kash Patel becoming the FBI director. Are you ready? Look at this. This is an update from, let's see, Polymarket. Polymarket. They show that Google searches for the term criminal defense attorney have skyrocketed in the District of Columbia. Like literally skyrocketed. They're up over 100%. The District of Columbia searches for the term criminal defense attorney have gone poof through the roof. Now, why is that? Is that because Kash Patel is this much closer to becoming the next FBI director? Is that because Kash Patel has already said he's going to release the Epstein client list? The JFK files? Is this because of what's been going on with Doge and the USAID? Is this because Donald Trump is calling for people to be fired for criminal fraud because of the money that they've taken from the government? Does this have anything to do with the fact that Politico and AP and Reuters, now we're finding out the New York Times, took money from the government, millions and millions of dollars from the government when they were supposed to be independent news agencies? Is that why criminal defense? You can't make this up. This actually happened. You can go to Google, you can search it. In the District of Columbia, searches are skyrocketing for criminal defense attorney. If you're a criminal defense attorney and you're licensed in the District of Columbia, you're going to have a very Merry Christmas. You're going to have a lot of clients. I'd start hiring some more paralegals because you're going to need the extra help. You're going to need the extra help for sure. It's coming at you hard. It's coming at you hard. And fast. Some other stuff going. Look, there's a whole, like I said, the news just keeps going. Donald Trump has a press conference today that he's going to be talking about tariffs, because now he's talking about reciprocal tariffs. He basically says if anybody tariffs the United States of America, we're going to equally tariff them back. So if you tariff us, we're going to tariff you. If you tariff us 15%, guess what? We're going to tariff you 15%. And that doesn't matter if you're a friend or foe, whoever you happen to be, you're going to get the same tariff treatment that you give us. Fair is fair, to quote the legend of Billie Jean. And he talked about this yesterday in the Oval Office right after Tulsi Gabbard was confirmed. Tulsi Gabbard, this was funny. Tulsi Gabbard was confirmed in the Oval Office. Pam Bondi was there. She swore her in. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump went to the podium and then it's his office. So he just took, and he just started answering questions again. And he just went off on for another hour, talked about everything. And one of the things he talked about were these reciprocal tariffs.
We'll be signing reciprocal tariffs. The world has taken advantage of the United States for many years. They've charged us massive tariffs that we haven't charged them. And as you know, I just did something on steel and aluminum, 25%. That'll go up at some point, but 25%, which will level the playing field quite a bit. I did it previously 50%, and Obama was very weak, and Biden was even weaker on steel. The steel was just absolutely, it really started with Obama. The world really took advantage of us, and then that morphed into Biden. And what they did was he was so worried about trying to attack his political opponent that he didn't know what he was doing with respect to countries taking advantage. He should have looked at the countries, both friend and foe, taking advantage of us. So we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs, which is whatever they charge, we charge, very simply. But
You charge, we charge. That's exactly what's going to happen. You charge, we charge. Oh, hang on.
we'll be signing.
Yeah, I got to do that. You charge, we charge. Donald Trump, This is what he woke up. He woke up this morning. By the way, I thought I got up early. In fact, you know what? Yeah, funny story. Remind me in just a minute to tell you a funny story about cat turd. But Donald Trump gets up bright and early in the morning. 6:30. This goes out on Truth Social. 3 great weeks. Perhaps the best ever. But today is the big one. Reciprocal tariffs. Make America great again. This is the big one. This is what Donald Trump is planning and plotting this week. This is what Donald Trump is doing right now. Reciprocal tariffs. Reciprocal tariffs. That's what Donald Trump's got going on. And he's so stoked. He's so excited about these reciprocal tariffs that it was the first thing on his mind when he woke up this morning. And it's continuing on his mind all through the day. He's going to have a press conference, it looks like, a little later on today. And his press conference will be, hold on, I'm having a little problem with my X feed. It looks like, I don't know. I guess I'm not. Oh, it looks like I'm having a problem with my Facebook feed. No shocker there. Anyway, but basically what's happening is, hang on one second. Let me hit a button. Boom. Let me hit that button, and then let me hit the button one more time. What's happening is he's going to have this press conference today, and when he has this press conference later on today, he's going to announce that there's reciprocal tariffs. He's going to give specific examples. I'm sure he's going to go country by country and say, this is how we can make all our money back. And Donald Trump, remember, is a big believer in making money. He's a big believer in tariffs helping make money back. He's a big believer in tariffs being what you need. Yeah, sorry for the inception for a minute. To really make America rich again. It's not taxes. Democrats are always like, taxes. We need more taxes. Let's just tax people. Donald Trump's like, let's tax other people, not Americans. We want to tax the people that don't live in this country. We want to tax the people who have been taking advantage of us for years. Those are the people we want to tax. And the media is all, you would think the media would be all about it, but they are not, man. They're after Donald Trump for everything. Donald Trump says, let's tax people. Let's do reciprocal tariffs, which just seems like it's fair. And they're always about fair treatment, right? What was it they always said about the rich, the millionaires and billionaires? Pay their fair share. That was Bernie Sanders. We just want to pay your fair share. What was the other thing? Barack Obama, spread the wealth around a little bit. We just want everyone to pay your fair share. If you're a billionaire, you should pay your fair share to America. And that didn't mean, of course, that everyone would have a flat tax rate. It meant that billionaires would be taxed a lot higher than you and me and everyone else. I mean, I'm assuming you're not a billionaire. If you are a billionaire, you know all about this. But Donald Trump's like, look, I'm all about paying your fair share. So all of the other countries that we're doing business with, whether it's a foreign country, an ally, or an enemy, they've got to all pay their fair share. And the media, they just can't hack it. Donald Trump also lay into some of the Doge projects, which are the most wasteful, which I have to tell you, every single day with this Doge, it is wild. The stuff that they're finding. They found something with the Department of Education today. I have to tell you, so Donald Trump basically, he's going to get rid of the Department of Education. Linda McMahon, who is the wife of Vince McMahon from WWE. And you may remember Linda McMahon because she made some appearances. She got turnbuckle flying a couple times, and she was in the WWE video game. I think it was WWF back then, but whatever. Anyway, she's going to be the Secretary of Education for like a minute. She's going to get confirmed maybe next week, and then Donald Trump's going to get rid of the Department of Education. And they're going to give her badge. They're going to be like, congratulations, Madam Secretary. I'm sorry, I'm going to need that badge back. And you need to get your stuff and get out because we're shutting down the Department of Education. It's really been, well, Donald Trump called it a con job, and he's absolutely right.
Look, the Department of Education's a big con job. We're ranked, so they rank the top 40 countries in the world. We're ranked number 40th, but we're ranked number 1 in one department, costs per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. but we're ranked number 40. We've been between 38 and 40. The last time I looked, it was 38. And then I looked 2 days ago, it came out the new list. It came out at number 40. So we're ranked 40. Norway, Denmark, Sweden, I hate to say it, China, as big as it is, it's ranked in the top 5. And that's a primary competitor. We're ranked number 40. So if we're ranked number 40, that means something's really wrong, right? And I say send it back to Iowa, to Idaho, to Colorado. Send it back to places that, and there are a lot of Indiana. You have a great new governor. You have a great senator that Jim Banks just got elected. You got great people. I'll tell you what, Indiana is going to be fantastic. We probably have 35, maybe 37 states that will do as well as Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden. They'll be just as good.
They'll be just as good. Those 37 states. 37. I wonder which 13 states suck. I can guess. I mean, I'm sure. Again, nothing against my friends in Mississippi, but I know that they typically rank near the bottom for education. But there's 13 states that are just horrible at education. There's 37, though, 35 to 37 that Donald Trump thinks will do better than Denmark, Finland, Sweden, which apparently are the gold standard for education. In Denmark, Finland, and Sweden, they got smart kids. They're spending less money. They're churning out these geniuses. China, they're 5th. I mean, there's no surprise to anybody that our education system is horrible. It's no surprise to anybody that somewhere along the line, the Department of Education is failing our students. We spend so much per student, the most of any of these 40 countries that Donald Trump continues to talk about, more than any of them. And we get nothing in return. We get so little in return. What happens is Donald Trump saying, if we're spending, we're not getting nothing. Our kids are at the bottom. They're 40th in education, but they're number 1 in cost. So that's a bad investment. And you have to sit back and wonder to yourself, where is all the money going? Where is all of this money going? Well, that's why we have Doge. And Doge has done some digging. And Elon Musk the Department of Government Efficiency they've been unfairly attacked. In fact, yesterday in the press briefing, Caroline Leavitt said, look, you guys are attacking Doge. I got receipts. Okay. Some idiot guy, I don't know who he was, asked if Elon Musk had presidential power, and Caroline Leavitt really put him in his place. Thank God.
Does Elon Musk have power of the presidency?
Absolutely not.
Right.
That's a ridiculous question.
I asked that question because, the Democrats have been hurling insults at Elon Musk, hurling attacks, calling him President Musk. Most recently, Jamie Raskin, the congressman, took it a step further, calling for Musk's impeachment, saying that he somehow usurped the power of the presidency. What's your response?
It's utterly ridiculous. Elon Musk addressed this in the Oval Office yesterday. The president addressed it as well. Elon Musk is serving at the pleasure of the president, just like everybody else on this team. He takes directives directly from the president of the United States. And I think some of the comments that you referred to are nothing more than a failed attempt from the media and from Democrats to try to sow division in this White House. We saw them do it in the first term. We're not going to let them do it in the second term. This is a unified team who is working at the pleasure of the president to do what's right for the American people.
Yeah, by the way, Jamie Raskin's an idiot. All those Democrats, they're like, yeah, I won't even say what one of them called Elon Musk yesterday on the House floor, and I'm shocked that they didn't get censured or thrown out or spit at, or I don't even know what you can do technically legally to these people. But that's what they're doing. And Elon Musk is running one of the most transparent audits of the government ever. And Caroline Leavitt said, look, you guys want receipts? I got them.
As for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them, and I actually brought some today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you. Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide anything. We have been incredibly transparent, and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that Doge found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000 for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that Doge identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one. $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people?
And there's more and more and more and more. So the Department of Education, by the way, is the big one. That's the big one. That's the one Donald Trump, it's a con job. And Elon Musk and Doge, they have a website now and they have a Twitter account or an X account. And you can go on there and you can see everything that they've been finding out. And they tweeted out, verified that these have been canceled. Look at this. This is the U.S. Department of Education. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. Here we go. This is it. Look, this cracks me up. Instead of improving outcomes for students, here's where taxpayer dollars were going. The U.S. Department of Education, $4.6 million to coordinate Zoom and in-person meetings. What? 4.6 million to coordinate Zoom meetings and in-person meetings. Why does it cost so much to coordinate a meeting? If it's an in-person meeting, I feel like you would just send an email saying, hey, let's meet in person. If it's a Zoom meeting, I mean, there's free Zoom, but I think I pay like, I don't know, $45 a month for the extended, whatever it is. 4.6 million to coordinate Zoom and in-person meetings. This is one of my favorites. So look at this. $3 million. I can't even read this one without laughing out loud. This is an actual expenditure, okay? This is an actual expenditure from the Department of Education that Doge just canceled. A $3 million contract to write a report that showed that prior reports were not utilized by schools. Okay, so they spent $3 million at the Department of Education to write a report about how nobody reads reports. This is actually happening. This is not Veep. This is not The Office. This is not some kind of weird sitcom. This is real life. This is your government. $3 million. They wrote all these reports, and God knows how much they spent on those reports. Millions of dollars they're spending writing reports and sending to the school systems. And the school systems don't read the reports, probably because they're boring Department of Education reports. And so the Department of Education goes, nobody's reading our reports? That does it. Write a report about why nobody reads our reports. And here's a $3 million budget. That is ridiculous. That's not even the worst. 1.4 million contract to physically observe mailing and clerical operations. $1.4 million. I didn't even know this was a job. $1.4 million to physically observe mailing and clerical operations. So you're telling me we're paying people to sit and watch other people send mail? Is that it? Is that what we're doing? Like, this is a job. I can sit there and I can watch you fold up and a letter, put it in an envelope, lick the stamp, put it on there, drop it in the mail, and just watch. Not even doing it. This isn't $1.4 million for people to send mail. This isn't $1.4 million for clerical operations. This is $1.4 million to watch people send mail. Also, who's sending mail? It's 2025. Everything I get from my kid's school is an email. I get emails, I get text messages. They don't even send out report cards anymore. What mail are they sending? What mail is the Department of Education sending that they need somebody to A, mail it, and B, watch the person mailing it? Right here, you've got 4.63, that's 7.6, that's 8 point, that's $9 million, that's $10 million of waste right there that Doge just cut out. That is why Donald Trump wants this whole department gone. Whole department just gone. FEMA's another one. You know why Donald Trump hates FEMA? Because, well, number one, they told everybody, hey, if there's a Trump sign in the yard, don't go to that house. Just skip it. It's like the goat's blood during Passover. Just pass over that house. If there's a Donald Trump sign there, they don't get government help. Yes, I know that these people in North Carolina, they may be Trump supporters, and yeah, they may be flooded and there may be mudslides. They may have lost everything. They may need our assistance, but we're not going to give it to them because they're Trump supporters. And we're FEMA. We're the Biden Federal Emergency Management Agency. So we're not. Plus, we don't really have that much money. If we can skip these Trump supporting houses in North Carolina, that's more money we can give to the illegal immigrants in New York. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly why Donald Trump was going off on FEMA yesterday.
because there's a massive fraud that's taken place. And then you have judges that are activists, and they sit there and they say, oh, as an example, $59 million going to a little small group in New York City. You get nothing going to North Carolina to help nothing. They say, we don't have any money because they've given it away on the border. But you have nothing. What they did to North Carolina is a shame. And then they sent $59 million to New York City for a hotel for a little bit of nothing. What they've done, a hotel that was not luxury, that's getting luxury rates for migrants, where they're making a fortune, and we catch them. But a judge says, well, even though it may be a fraud, you have to send the money in anyway. Send the money. I said, wait a minute. We have money that shouldn't go because we caught it before it was sent out, but they want the money to go anyway. And I think you're going to have a lot of things to look at, Pam. I really do. What's going on with this whole thing? And this is just one group.
That's just one group. That's just one group of judges. And that's just one group of immigrants. That's just one group of government waste. That's just FEMA. The Department of Education. I mean, and look, yes, Donald Trump does not like FEMA because they don't like him. We get it. But there's actually legitimately people, that need FEMA's help that aren't getting it because it's going to the illegal immigrants in New York, and the hotel's charging double. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't 100% blame the hotel. I think he's talking about the Roosevelt Hotel, right? I think that's the one. The Roosevelt Hotel, early on, they went in and they bought out every room. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, the government, they went in and they said, we need a place to house illegals. Do we put them in a parking garage? Do we buy them tents? No, you know what we're going to do? What we're going to do is we are going to charge double. That's what we're going to do. We're going to charge double for the rooms. And I don't blame them, because if the government approached me and said, hey, we would like to advertise on your show, I'd be like, all right, it's double what I usually charge. You know, if you want to advertise on the show, a couple $1,000, that's great. If it were the government, I'd be like 10 grand and I'll advertise whatever it is you want me to advertise. Done. So you can't really blame the hotel, but you can blame the federal government. And that's exactly what Donald Trump's doing. He's blaming the federal government. He's blaming FEMA, and he's saying we're going to shut it all down. And the judges are standing in the way. And the judges and the Democrats and the liberal judges are saying, you know what this is? I'll tell you exactly what this is. This is a constitutional crisis. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have created a constitutional crisis. You've heard them say it. In fact, look at this. This is great. This was from, I forget where this was from. This was from somewhere. Here we go. This was from the Rabbit Hole. They collected all of the headlines that mention constitutional crisis, because that's what the Democrats do. They get a talking point in their head, and what they do is they go out and they just repeat the talking point over and over and over again. Are we in a constitutional crisis? NPR. The New York Times, Trump's actions have created a constitutional crisis, scholars say. CNN, analysis, as Trump team overhauls government, a constitutional crisis looms. Opinion, is there a constitutional crisis? Wall Street Journal. Brookings, how is civil society responding to the U.S. constitutional crisis? The Hill, Elizabeth Warren, quote, we've got our toes right on the edge of a constitutional crisis. The Washington Post, what is a constitutional crisis? The Bulwark, WTF 2.0, are we in a constitutional crisis? That is the mainstream media's narrative. They're trying to say Donald Trump and Elon Musk, by trying to save our government, by trying to reinstate some kind of normalcy in our spending habits, by making sure that we have actual people, watchdogs, watching over our tax dollars, that's causing a constitutional crisis, when the opposite is true. The judges who are forcing Donald Trump to send this money to New York, even though it's ridiculous, the judges who are forcing Donald Trump not to send these illegal criminals to Gitmo, the judges who are forcing Donald Trump to reinstate DEI and woke language on websites that they actually have no business or jurisdiction over, those people are creating the constitutional crisis. And Caroline Leavitt walked right into the White House press briefing room yesterday and said to everybody, listen, you guys, she's walking into the lion's den. That's the thing people don't realize about the, I mean, I guess you do realize that you guys are smart. But when she walked into the press briefing room, these aren't her friends. You know, she's the press secretary, but these are not her allies. These are not her colleagues. These are her adversaries. They want to trip her up. They want to ask pointed questions. They want to get her flustered. They want her to admit something. They want to get some kind of scoop. So they go in there with these pointed questions. They're purposely trying to dig up some dirt, and that's what she faces every single day. Imagine going to work every single day. You walk into your office, and there's a bunch of people there that are trying to get you to say something that you'll later regret. So she walks in there, and she right off the bat says, "You people are lying."
Before I take questions, I would like to address an extremely dishonest narrative that we've seen emerging over the past few days. Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority. We believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. And they have issued at least 12 injunctions against this administration in the past 14 days, often without citing any evidence or grounds for their lawsuits. This is part of a larger concerted effort by Democrat activists and nothing more than the continuation of the weaponization of justice against President Trump. Quick news flash to these liberal judges who are supporting their obstructionist efforts: 77 million Americans voted to elect this president. And each injunction is an abuse of the rule of law and an attempt to thwart the will of the people. As the president clearly stated in the Oval Office yesterday, we will comply with the law in the courts, but we will also continue to seek every legal remedy to ultimately overturn these radical injunctions and ensure President Trump's policies can be enacted.
Yeah, basically, hey guys, listen, before I start telling you the truth, I want you to stop lying. Which is exactly what she said. And she goes, I want you to stop lying. I want you guys, listen, you guys are lying, and I want you to stop and just, respect this White House, respect what we're doing here. And stop trying to fearmonger. Great word for it, by the way, because that's what the media does. They fearmonger. And the worst part is they fearmonger. They've been fearmongering for a very long time, and they've been doing it with your tax dollars, which makes Donald Trump's, I got to tell you, this makes Donald Trump's victory just even more unbelievable. I mean, it's just more miraculous when you think about it. Donald Trump was working against not just Republicans who hated him and didn't like him and didn't want him coming back to power. People like Nikki Haley who ran against him. Ron DeSantis, who until he came back to his senses, tried to run against him and say he's not the right man for the job. Chris Christie. There were a bunch of Republicans that were anti-Donald Trump for a while. Every single Democrat. And Joe Biden and his White House and his DOJ and his FBI and all these people that had were put in these positions of power to search his home at Mar-a-Lago and rifle through his wife's underwear drawer and prosecute him in New York and bring him in for mug shots in Georgia. All these things that all these people were doing to try to stop Donald Trump dead in his tracks from becoming president again. And the media on top of it, we knew they hated Donald Trump, but not only did they hate Donald Trump, they were fully funded by the government. The USAID, we were finding out, was paying for all of these places. They were paying for every single one of these news agencies to attack Donald Trump, and he still won by like a lot. It just shows that truth and freedom and liberty and American values always win out. Good always triumphs over evil. And now that good has triumphed, we're finding out just how much evil in the world there actually was. And in just a minute, I'm going to share with you the update from Tim Burchett. Slingblade Burchett, Representative Slingblade from Tennessee. Tim Burchett, he came out of a meeting and he gave us another hallway report. And I want to share it with you because it just cracks me up so much. I love it so much. Also, a couple of other Donald Trump appointees, including, what's his name? Doug Collins, who I love Doug Collins. I love that he's back. I loved him when he was a representative from Georgia. I loved listening to him. Him and Jerry Nadler go back and forth when he was ranking member of the Judiciary Committee. And so I'm so glad that he's back in the public eye. But Collins had another message to people about Doge and waste and what's happening now that Donald Trump has returned. But before we get to any of that, I did want to share with you, speaking of sponsors and people who help us bring you this program every single day, gold, silver, precious metals. You've seen the deregulation. You've seen how you've seen inflation and deflation. You've seen how the dollar fluctuates. Gold and silver are solid investments, and our good friends at Colonial Metals Group, headed up by Doug Stone, Paul Stone. I was thinking of Doug. Paul Stone at Colonial Metals Group, CMG they call it. I don't like that. I don't like calling it that, but I'd rather call it Colonial Metals Group. They are offering a free gold guide to all Mark Kaye Saves the Republic listeners. Viewers, if you're watching this right now, if you're listening to it, go to freegoldguide.com/K. freegoldguide.com/KAYE and get your free gold guide. Learn how gold can protect your financial future. Learn about the tax loopholes that investing in gold and silver and precious metals can yield you. Learn about how you can, for a limited time, get $7,500 in free bonus silver on a qualifying account. So if you get the free gold guide, which again is at freegoldguide.com/K, if you read it and you go, wow, this is a pretty solid deal, and you get in touch with a Colonial Metals Group, you could get $7,500 in free silver on qualifying accounts. That's an amazing deal. That's why we partner with them. And that's why we're so excited that they continue to partner with the Mark Kaye Show. So go to freegoldguide.com/K. The link to that website is in the description of this video, freegoldguide.com/KAYE, or click the link in the description of this video for more information. All right, let's get back to Doge here. What haven't we covered here? So there's a lot of stuff going on with Doge, as we discussed. Elon Musk was in Dubai. Actually, he wasn't in Dubai. He was probably in DC, but he was teleported or broadcast. His whole visage was sent to Dubai. They had a big announcement. They're doing a Dubai loop. Basically, Elon Musk has a company called The Boring Company. And a lot of people think that was like a kitschy name, which it probably was, but it's actually called The Boring Company because what they do is they bore holes in the ground. Boring is like, drilling a big hole, and so you can bore through wood or bore through cement, and he bores through the ground and digs these tunnels. He did it all underneath Las Vegas and created a Las Vegas loop, where it's basically an underground highway system that is powered by Teslas. So in Las Vegas now, you can go down the escalator. If you're trying to get from like one hotel to the other or one side of the strip to the other, you go down the escalator. There's a Tesla, an unmanned, by the way, electric Tesla. You get in the Tesla and I guess you tell it where you're going and it takes you there and then you get out. And it's basically an underground highway system that's never cluttered. There's never any congestion. There's no gas because these are all electric vehicles, and there's no exhaust or fumes or anything like that. And so that's what Elon Musk has built in Las Vegas. He's going to do it now in Dubai. And I imagine when Elon Musk and Tesla and the Boring Company and Dubai get together, this job they're going to do on this Dubai loop, it's going to be incredible by the time it's done. But that's one of the many things that Elon Musk works on. And so he's piped in. And of course, when Elon Musk is there, he's going to talk about what they're doing. He's going to talk about the project, but then he's going to take questions and talk about things he's doing with Doge, because that's what that's what everyone's interested in. And he mentions that, there are complete agencies we're going to have to get rid of.
Well, I think we do need to delete entire agencies as opposed to leave part of them behind. Because if you leave part of them behind, it's easy. It's kind of like if leaving a weed. If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back. But if you remove the roots of the weed, it doesn't stop weeds from ever growing back, but it makes it harder. So we have to really delete entire agencies, many of them. And that's not to say there won't be an increase over time of bureaucracy in some new administration, but it'll be from a much lower baseline.
Yeah, he said, look, it's like a weed. If you leave any little part of it, it's like a weed. And trust me, Elon Musk knows a lot about weed. Sorry. You can just Google it. You can just Google the Joe Rogan experience where, it doesn't matter. Don't do that. Just listen to my podcast. It's a lot better. But anyway, so Elon Musk is saying, look, we got to get rid of all these agencies. And there's a lot of people that agree with him and are backing Doge. One of them is Doug Burgum, the new Secretary of the Interior.
President Trump, it was fantastic being a governor underneath him in my first term and back in the first Trump administration. But he's operating at a next level right now. I mean, the first time around, he was courageous. This time, he's fearless. The ideas he has that he's driving forward on cutting waste and spending, being with him, whether it's at a national prayer breakfast, renaming the Gulf of America, or negotiating with the Prime Minister of Japan about an 800-mile natural gas pipeline in Alaska. Everything he's doing is 180 degrees different from the Biden administration, and he's delivering on all the promises, and that's fantastic. And one of those promises was he was going to make government more efficient. And I'm a complete supporter of this. When I became governor of North Dakota, we cut 27% out of the general fund. I know it can be done. This example you just talked about at Iron Mountain is we've got to give people that work in government the tools. The technology is so outdated that we're asking people to do paperwork instead of computer work.
That's the limestone mine he's talking about, where they manually bring manila envelopes up and down a mine shaft elevator if somebody wants to retire from the federal government, which is a huge waste of time. The worst possible way to do paperwork in this day and age. And he's talking about modernizing, and he's saying Donald Trump's the one that's going to do it. Donald Trump and Doge can do it. And I worked with him as a governor in my first term, and it was amazing. And he's already doing everything he's talked about. He's renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Oh, which reminds me, did you hear? Hang on, let me pull this up. Did you hear that? Oh, hold on. Let me turn off this. That the folks in Mexico, the president of Mexico, hold on. There we go. The president of Mexico is threatening to sue Google because they changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. The president of Mexico on Thursday threatened to sue Google over its changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America for Maps users in the United States to comply with President Donald Trump's executive order. We do have a dispute with Google at the moment, Claudia Scheinbaum said in her morning news conference, and if necessary, we will file a civil suit. They're filing a civil suit with Google because they changed the name on their maps to the Gulf of America. That's what Mexico's plan of attack is. They're so mad at Donald Trump. They're so mad that Donald Trump is an effective leader. They're so mad that Donald Trump issued an order in the United States of America, which happens to house Google, by the way. That's where Google's right here. Google's right here. So they're so mad, they're threatening to file suit. I imagine they'll file suit against Apple, too, until they realize how ridiculous and unwinnable a case it is. Pam Bondi, by the way, is also filing suit. Pam Bondi filed suit, but she's got an actual legitimate claim. She's filing suit against New York. Why? Because, well, New York's breaking the law. They're not complying with Donald Trump's order for sanctuary cities and immigration. And she said, we're not messing around here. We are dead serious about cleaning up the criminal element, getting these illegal immigrants out of the United States of America, and tamping down on any future illegal immigration. And you can either abide by the rules or you can suffer the consequences.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV.
Look at that. Letitia James. We all know her. Who else? Kathy Hochul. Dave Schroeder. They're filing suit against all of them for basically breaking the law, the federal law of the United States of America.
President Trump has directed this to stop. And if you don't comply with federal law, we will hold you accountable. We did it to Illinois. Strike one. Strike two is New York. And if you are a state not complying with federal law, you're next. Get ready.
This would be the FO portion of the FAFO. We are now in the FO. First was the FA, now it's the FO. Some people are still in the FA portion, but New York and Chicago, they've graduated to FO. And that's all part of Pam Bondi's plan with Donald Trump. But back to Doge. So Doge is the same way. If you're not going to comply with these Doge principles, you're going to get gone. And the Democrats can do whatever they want. The Democrats can get in there and they can lie and they can cheat and they can steal and they can try to stop it and they can ignore orders, but it's just not going to work. And Doug Collins is reminding everybody it's just not going to work.
Hey everybody, it's Doug again. I can't believe it. I've been here about a week. And you know the one thing that hadn't changed about D.C.? It's the media up here that like to tell you stuff that they want you to believe. I'm going to give you a breakdown. This is how it happens in the media up here. They take a possibility and then they run with a story because they want you to believe it because they got to write something. And frankly, they don't know what to write because right now President Trump is making progress and this administration is doing what it said, making promises and keeping them. But let me tell you one that's right now. There's a one that's going around in the media right now about veterans benefits being cut. I'm the Secretary of VA. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not happening. They can do hypotheticals all they want. I'm telling you about reality. Reality is veterans benefits aren't getting cut.
Okay, so what Doug Collins is saying here, by the way, I love that this guy's a counter. Hey, y'all, they're talking about veterans benefits. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm Secretary of the VA. Veterans benefits ain't getting cut. That's the kind of leadership I think we need in Washington, and I'm glad we have it. But veterans, look, he's exactly right. This is why I say that what Donald Trump did with Twitter and what Matt Gaetz did with Rumble and YouTube and his podcast and what Ted Cruz does with his podcast, what all these people are doing is they're cutting out the media. Why? The media lies. They're cutting out the media. Why? The media pushes a narrative. They push their own narrative instead of the truth. And we now know, of course, that they've been funded by the federal government, a.k.a. the Biden administration, a.k.a. the Democrats, to push whatever narrative they want, not the truth. And Doug Collins is like, I'm going to tell you how it is right now. Donald Trump is a master at this. Donald Trump has a rapid response Twitter account where he can respond immediately to any and all lies and any all stories and anything else that they're telling him they're telling you that just isn't true. Donald Trump has a YouTube channel. Donald Trump has his Truth Social network. Donald Trump has a bevy, an army of people on his side who are doing the exact same thing. And this is why I say what Doug Collins just said, what he just did. This is why every elected official, I believe, should have a podcast. Or this is why podcasters should become elected officials, which, by the way, gives me a fantastic idea for 2026. Which, look, I'm just saying, when I become a congressman from Florida's 5th District in 2026, when that happens, I guess 2027, technically, people are like, Mark, don't give up your podcast. I would never. One of the goals is transparency in the government. What's more transparent than me walking out of a meeting, walking out of a committee meeting, walking out of a vote, walking into my office, turning on the microphone, turning on the camera and say, y'all ain't gonna believe what just happened. And I was there. I heard it with my own ears. I saw it with my own eyes. I experienced it. I got the goosebumps and the cringe and when Jasmine Crockett spoke, my spine got cold and a frigid waft of, just grossness came out, all that kind of stuff. That's what's going to happen. And I think everyone should be doing it. I think there should be a daily update from every single elected member of Congress. You know why? Because if they're not talking to you, they're hiding something. If your elected official, whether it's a senator, whether it's a congressperson, whether it's your mayor, I don't care who it is. If you send somebody to the Congress of the United States of America and you never hear from them again, they're hiding something from you. Trust me, I know. I live in a district where I haven't seen my congressman in years. I interviewed the guy like 2-3 years ago. Haven't heard from him since. He's never on TV. He never tweets anything. It's all just press releases. He's never doing interviews. I never see him on Fox News or the Sunday shows. The guy is hiding. Why is he hiding? It's because he's hiding something. If you don't want attention on you, it's because you don't want people paying attention to what you're doing. So, people complain about these loudmouth Congress people. They're like, oh, Nancy Mace is always yelling about something. Matt Gaetz is always on TV. Lauren Boebert's always walking around. They're not hiding anything from you. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not doing anything that's going to affect you. She's not taking advantage of her position. She's not becoming rich like Nancy Pelosi. It's the quiet ones, the ones that you forget about. Those are the ones that you need to watch out for. You want a congressperson, you want a senator who is going to be in your face every single day telling you what's happening. Because if they're not telling you what's happening, it's because they don't want you to know what they are doing. And that's why when I become a congressman, I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to be like, guys, guess what I ate for breakfast today in the congressional cafeteria? A Greek yogurt parfait. I don't know. I don't even know what, I don't eat breakfast. So that would be a lie. So if you ever hear me get on this podcast and say, guess what I ate for breakfast today in the congressional cafeteria, know that I'm a liar and call me out on it. Because you know what I have for breakfast? Coffee. You know what I'll have for second breakfast? More coffee. Occasionally, maybe I'll have a muffin. or a muff, like if there's a muffin laying around, usually on the holidays, but not usually, every single day of the week. But that's what Doug Collins is doing. Tim Burchett is a master at this. Tim Burchett walks out of he used to wait. Tim Burchett's getting bolder. Tim Burchett from, I call him Representative Sling Blade, and when you hear him talk, you'll know why. But Representative Sling Blade, he used to wait until the end of the day, and he'd walk out of Congress, and he'd be walking down the steps in his barn jacket, and he'd pull out his phone, and he'd be like, "Hey, buddy, Congressman Tim Burchett, here's what happened today." Now, he doesn't even wait. He walks out of the committee room, just like I described to you. He pulls out his phone, and he's walking down the hallway. And he's talking to people. Listen to this. This is my favorite. I didn't edit. I could have edited this at all. I could have edited this down, but it wouldn't have been as much fun. This is Tim Burchett earlier this morning walking out of a committee meeting and just dictating to the masses everything that happened.
Hey, everybody. Tim Burchett, just leaving Foreign Affairs Committee dealing with USAID.
Thanks for your votes. I
Thank
agree
you,
with
brother.
that much.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Anyway, USAID. Committee. It was funny. It was disrupted by some protesters, and what they were protesting, they're saying we took out, Trump actually put back in. Are you going to eat all that donut? I'm going to eat that donut right there. Enough.
Speaking of breakfast, this is how you can tell the guy's he's a regular Joe. He walks out of the Appropriations Committee meeting on the USAID and the waste of the USAID. And there were protesters, and they came in and they were protesting something, I'm not sure what it was, that actually Donald Trump didn't touch. Donald Trump said, "I'm going to take it out," but then he put it back in, and the protesters didn't even know because they're low information, and they came and they protested anyway. And Tim Burchett's laughing about it, and then he realizes he's hungry, and he sees someone with a donut. He goes, "You're going to eat all that donut? I'll eat that. If you're not eating that, That's how you know this is not an elitist. Anybody because you know the guy, everyone has one at their office. There's someone at the office, wanders around, they wander into your office. If they see a plate of food on the side of your desk that you're not currently in the process of absorbing into your body, they will ask, "Hey, are you done with that? Hey, are you going to eat that? Are you done with that? Can I have that?" That's exactly what, anyway, that's Tim Burchett. There's more.
Anyway, the protesters, they're probably just paid by some group. You can pretty much guess who's paying them. So Trump had actually put that portion back in that they were claiming that he took out. So maybe some of the protesters ought to watch Fox News and find out what's going on with that. But anyway, I asked former director of USAID about funding and how we're, again, funding terrorists. They'll hate us for free. And I presented for the record an article from 1993 that showed just the millions of condoms that USAID is providing. They act like it didn't happen, but it did. It is, and it's been going on at least since 1993. And anyway, it's your tax dollars and gay operas and Columbia and transgender nonsense, LGBTQ comic books for children, and it's just ridiculous. And they're trying to defend it, and they'll point out one little portion. Well, hey, how y'all doing? Keep funding those portions, but throw the rest of that garbage out. How can you defend that stuff? It's unbelievable, and the corruption. And I believe you're going to find a lot of that money's flowing right back to some congressmen's pockets. And I hope they expose that as soon as possible. Anyway, thank y'all for seeing me here.
That's what I aspire to be. That's going to be me, only not my voice isn't as low, and I'll be a lot louder, and I probably won't have a barn jacket. Although I did have that exact same jacket in 1996. I remember I was in college. I was in New York. I was at NYU. But, Barron, by the way, made it. I stopped telling people I went to NYU for a while, but now Barron Trump goes there, so he made it cool again. But I had that exact same barn jacket, same color and everything. Leather collar. It was from LL Bean. It was amazing. I wore it everywhere. Now Tim Burchett's bringing it back like 25 years later. But that's exactly what you say. You have to listen to the guy. He's like, look, I walked out of this meeting. There's these stupid protesters, but they're trying to defend condoms for terrorists that they've been sending out there since 1993. condoms for terrorists, a bad use of our tax dollars. They're trying to defend gay operas and Peruvian comic books for LGBTQ youth. You can't explain that away. There's no reason for that. There's no explanation for that. There's no reason for us to be funding all that. It's waste. It's government waste. And then he throws in there the other little tidbit. It's probably ending up back in some congressman's pocket. Gee, do you think? I have a pretty good idea whose. If you don't know a congressman by name or by voice or by face, it's because they are hiding something from you. And Matt Gaetz did a thing back when he was in Congress. He did an interview. I want to say was it with InfoWars? I'm going to find the clip because he wandered around the halls. He wandered around the halls of Congress and he said, let's go look at some of these Congress people. And he had the receipts and he talked about how much money these people had made in Congress, where you get $176,000 a year. That's the salary. I know. I looked it up. That's the salary, $176,000 a year. And these people are earning millions every year. They show up at Congress. They're maybe worth $1 million. They leave Congress 5 years later. They're worth $5, $6, $7, $10, $15 million. How does that happen? It happens exactly like Tim Burchett said. They approve a gay opera, a lesbian comic book, condoms for terrorists, and somehow that money comes right back into their pocket. Same with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. Look at that. We should send all this money to Ukraine. Ukraine buys Bitcoin from Sam Bankman-Fried, and Sam Bankman-Fried then donates millions and millions of dollars to various Democrats running for office back in the United States of America. If that's not money laundering, I don't know what is. And I don't know what is because I've never actually laundered any money in my entire life, not on purpose. So if that's my defense if it ever comes back to it. But that's exactly what's happening. And Donald Trump has taken care of it. Donald Trump has taken care of everything. He's taken care of waste in Doge. He's taken care of waste in the U.S. Department of Education. He's taking care of, the border. Let's not forget about the border real quick. Real quick, before we get to the after party, let's talk about the border. Stephen Miller was talking about the border once again and how Donald Trump is working to shore up the border in addition to everything else, which is crucial, not just to our national defense, but also to our economy.
President Trump has already saved thousands of lives just by the people he's kept out of the country these last 3 weeks. Do you have any idea how many criminals, how many potential terrorists, how many security threats have been blocked and denied and prevented and deterred from even trying to enter the country? A 95% reduction in illegal crossings. There are mothers all over this country who will sleep safely tonight because of what Donald Trump has done. That is what the American people voted for, not the chaos and bloodshed of Gavin Newsom and Kathy Hochul and all of these blue state governors and blue state mayors who have forced their people to live in violence and misery.
And that's why Pam Bondi is filing suit, and that's why the Department of Justice is going after him, and that's why the people who are on board with this are going to be in the end, no matter what the media says, no matter what the media does, in the end, it's all going to fall apart for them. Whatever the Democrats try to do, whatever the Democrats cannot, there's no defense for any of this stuff. Tim Burchett just told you, there's no platform for the government, for the Democrat Party in 2026. We are in 2025. They're going to start running in months. Right after July 4th, we've still got midterm elections. On April 1st, there's special elections. On April 1st, there's a couple of special elections here in Florida. We still don't have the full House of Representatives. We still don't have the full Republican majority that we need. Once we get that, we're going to go into the summer. There's going to be July 4th, and then everybody's going to start running for something. Congress people are going to start running for Congress. Senators are going to start running for open seats. Senator Smith, what's her name? She just said, I'm not coming back in Minnesota. So look, Minnesota's open. There's another potential Republican pickup in Minnesota. Why? Well, because nobody wants Tim Walz in the Senate. Oh my God, that'd be horrible. Tim Walz anywhere near government would be horrible. But with an open Senate seat, rest assured, if they're looking at Kamala Harris to be governor of California, rest assured they are looking at Tim Walz to be the next senator from Minnesota. And I have to believe that they've already had a conversation with him, and that's why Senator Smith said she was going to step down. She just released it today. They're looking for some place to put Tampon Tim. He can't go back to the governor's mansion. He's not vice president, thank God. So they're looking for Tampon Tim. They need to keep him off the streets, folks. They can't send this guy back to a school. They can't send him. He can't go back around children. This guy's a threat to any child. Put tampons in the boys' room, for crying out loud. That doesn't jibe with Donald Trump's current DEI philosophies and policies. So I imagine they're going to run him for senator in Minnesota now that there's an opening. But everyone's going to start running for something. And Donald Trump is going to lose momentum because people are going to be looking other places. And president is also one of those jobs that's up for grabs. Donald Trump the other day was asked about J.D. Vance. He was asked about J.D. Vance during the Brett Baier interview, and he did not outright endorse J.D. Vance. And the left caught on to this, and they glommed onto it, and they thought this was a big deal. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can pull up the clip real quick. But he was asked about J.D. Vance and whether or not J.D. Vance would get his endorsement in 2024, and he said no. And the reason is it's way too soon. It's way too soon. Hold on, Trump, Vance. I'm going to find this clip real quick before we start the after party. Because, yeah, here it is. Here we go.
You view Vice President J.D. Vance.
All right, let me pull this up real quick because this is important. And I'll explain this clip to you because a lot of people had questions about it.
Do you view Vice President J.D. Vance as your successor, the Republican nominee in 2028?
No, but he's very capable. I mean, I don't think that I think you have a lot of very capable people. So far, I think he's doing a fantastic job. It's too early. We're just starting.
But by the time you get to the midterms, he's going to be looking for an endorsement.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that this has been the greatest opening, almost 3 weeks, in the history of the presidency.
It's definitely been the fastest and the most stuff
Well,
happening.
we've done so much so fast, and we really had to because they have really, what they've done to our country is so sad. It's so sad. We're going to be bigger, better, and stronger than ever before.
Okay, so Donald Trump was asked, is J.D. Vance getting your endorsement in 2028? And he said no. And I'll tell you why. It's too soon. But as soon as you endorse somebody, as soon as you start talking about the midterms, everybody forgets about what you're doing now. As soon as you endorse somebody for the midterms, you've lost them. And they need J.D. Vance focused. They need J.D. Vance focused on being vice president of the United States of America. J.D. Vance is doing a great job. J.D. Vance is a fantastic representative for the Trump organization, but Donald Trump knows every single day he needs the focus on making America great again. He needs everybody thinking about what's going to be happening the first 2 years, not the second 2 years. And sure, maybe down the road, if J.D. Vance proves himself, maybe down the road, if J.D. Vance is the one to pick up the mantle and run with it, maybe J.D. Vance gets the nomination. But there's a lot of other people who may be capable. A lot of folks are thinking Donald Trump may be trying to figure out a way to get a third term. Maybe. It may be that he's looking at his son, Donald Trump Jr., and saying, who better to be the next president of the United States than my son, Donald Trump Jr., who is an outsider just like he was, who comes from the family business just like he does, who's become a very, very vocal and engaged political asset. There's also other people in the Republican Party I know who are going to be vying for it. So Donald Trump's, the reason he said no so quickly is because he doesn't even want to think about the midterms. He wants everyone focused on now, saving the country now, securing the border now, fixing the economy now, cutting out the government waste now. Now, gosh darn it, now. Forget about the future. There is no future if we don't fix things now. And that's why Donald Trump isn't going to endorse anybody at all, at least not now. Donald Trump is supposed to speak momentarily, but in true Donald Trump fashion, oh wait, this was yesterday. Yeah, in true Donald Trump fashion, he's not yet speaking. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to mosey on over. We're going to kick off the after party here in just a minute. And anything that Donald Trump says, we will bring to you tomorrow. Real quick, though, before I go, a couple things I wanted to point out. We do have a couple super chats. Look, Cesar Garcia left us a $20 super chat. That was very nice of you, Cesar. He wrote hippo character. Oh, he sent a sticker. I won't read that. And then look, BT Dubs, sorry, Keith, also sent us a $3 super sticker. So we're very thankful. We're very thankful for both of you. And this is really cool. A lot of people have been asking about President's Day, and I will be working on President's Day. In fact, not only will I be working on President's Day, I'm going to wake up. We're going to do the 47 Daily on President's Day. We're going to have this podcast, Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, will be live on President's Day because there's going to be news. Right? Donald Trump is we just talked about it. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week thing. There's no stopping ever. In fact, Caitlin Collins asked Caroline Levitt about why this is so funny to me. Donald Trump and the press room and the communications department they'll throw you out of the White House on the weekend. They don't even care. But they want you to know, look, this is a privilege to cover this particular White House, and you better shape up or ship out.
I don't think for you. Which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus. Many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server. And Apple has recognized that. Google has recognized that. Pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America. And it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world.
You peddle lies and you're losing your credentials. You call it's the Gulf of America, gosh darn it. If it weren't, we'd be SOL, because we've got a whole line of Gulf of America gear, which is available at themarkshop.com. Gulf of America t-shirts and hoodies, Gulfy, the official Gulf of America mascot, the Gulf of America 40-ounce tumbler, whatever you want, we got it. Just go to markshop.com, grab your Gulf of America gear, use coupon code TrumpWorld for 10% off. Everyone should, here's what you should do. The AP got booted from the press briefing in the Oval Office. They had their credentials removed. They weren't allowed in the Oval Office because they refused to use the terminology Gulf of America. They call it Gulf of Mexico. That's a lie. That's misreporting. That's misinformation. And Donald Trump is not going to allow news outlets that lie and misinform the public into his Oval Office press briefings. So you either call it the Gulf of America or you find something else to cover. But that's the way it is. So what I think everyone should do is buy a Gulf of America t-shirt or a hoodie or a sweatshirt or whatever and send it to somebody at the AP. That would be, send them Gulfy, the official Gulf of America mascot, which is a very cute little stuffed bear with a Gulf of America t-shirt. That's all. It's great for the kids. Anyway, all these things and more are available at markshop.com, markshop.com. So anyway, back to Monday. So President's Day, like I said, the news never stops. And it would be, I would be remiss if I took a day off of work, because whenever I take a day off of work, like 9 things happen. And so not only are we going to be here every single day doing the 47 Daily Podcast, doing Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, but I also have in our Patriot Club after party a very special President's Day broadcast planned. The Patriots Club is presenting a President's Day special, February 17th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This will be for Patriot Club members only. And if you'd like to be a member of the Patriot Club, all you have to do is go to patriots.com, join locals, and make sure you're a supporter. It's for supporters only. Fun fact, we've secured a special guest for the President's Day special. The Patriot Club President's Day special will feature special guest Hannah Guile Hickox, formerly of the Mark Kaye Show, and currently, I don't know, some Christian station. I'll be honest, I don't even really know what it's called, but she'll be joining us for a live interview on President's Day. Also, we have some other fantastic, for those of you that loved the games we used to play, we're going to bring back some games. We may even have prizes. I'll be honest with you. I haven't really done any planning for this other than telling Hannah she needs to call in on Monday and also making this fun placard, but it's going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. And it's going to be a celebration of great presidents, past and present. So if you haven't yet joined the Patriot Club, now's the time to do it, because in just a couple minutes, like I said, we're going to go live with today's after party. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast. Don't forget to leave a review. The review drive continues. We want to drive this podcast right up to the top 10. And the more reviews we get, the better. The more reviews we get, the higher we rise. And the more we rise, the more eyes we get on our podcast, and the more we can grow our Patriot network and our army of liberty, love, and freedom defending Patriots. Because it's going to take an army. You know, this is we're here now, but the tide's always going to turn. And I'm not going to change. You're not going to change, but some people's minds are going to change. We need to make sure that we're here every single day fighting for what we know is right. Fight, fight, fight for what you know is right, right, right. And you will always save the Republic. The after party begins in 3 minutes.